The secret garden. Emily had always been fascinated by nature. She loved the way the leaves rustled in the wind and the way flowers bloomed in the sunlight. But Emily had never been able to experience the joys of nature herself. She lived in a city apartment with her parents and had never had a garden to call her own. One day, Emily's grandmother passed away, leaving behind a large estate in the countryside. Emily's parents decided to move there to take care of the property. Emily was excited about the move. She couldn't wait to explore the sprawling gardens and the lush greenery. As soon as they arrived, Emily went out to explore. She was amazed by the variety of plants and flowers she saw. But there was one part of the garden that was locked and forbidden. It was a large gate that led to a secret garden. Emily couldn't help but feel curious about what lay beyond that gate. One day, when her parents were out, Emily decided to sneak into the secret garden. She climbed over the gate and landed on the other side with a soft thud. As she looked around, she gasped in amazement. The garden was unlike any she had ever seen. The plants and flowers were arranged in intricate patterns, and there were statues of animals scattered throughout. Emily spent hours in the garden, exploring and admiring its beauty. But as the sun began to set, she realized that she needed to get back to the house. She tried to climb back over the gate, but it was too high. She was trapped. As the night fell, Emily started to feel scared. She had no food, water, or shelter. She tried to call for help, but her voice was weak, and no one could hear her. She spent a sleepless night, cold and frightened. The next morning, Emily heard footsteps approaching. She looked up and saw an old man walking towards her. He was carrying a basket of fruit and a watering can. "Hello, little miss. What are you doing here?" he asked. "I got stuck," Emily replied, her voice trembling. The old man smiled and said, "Don't worry, we'll get you out of here." He helped her climb over the gate and took her to the house. Her parents were relieved to see her safe and sound. They scolded her for sneaking into the garden but also felt sorry for her. Days went by, and Emily couldn't stop thinking about the secret garden. She longed to go back, but she knew it was forbidden. One day, when her parents were out, she sneaked back into the garden. She sat under a tree and started to draw the flowers and the statues. She felt at peace in the garden, and for the first time, she felt like she belonged somewhere. As she was drawing, she heard a sound. She looked up and saw a boy approaching her. He was around her age, and he was carrying a small spade and a watering can. "Hello, I'm William. What are you doing here?" he asked. Emily felt embarrassed but replied, "I love this garden. I wanted to come back." William smiled and said, "I come here every day. I love this garden too. Do you want to help me water the plants?" Emily nodded eagerly, and they started to water the plants together. As they worked, they talked about their love for nature and their favorite flowers. Emily felt like she had found a kindred spirit in William. They agreed to meet in the garden every day and explore it together. Over time, Emily and William's friendship grew stronger. They would spend hours in the garden, tending to the plants and talking about their dreams and aspirations. Emily felt like she had found a true friend, and for the first time, she didn't feel alone in the world. But one day, Emily's parents found out about her secret garden visits. They were angry and forbade her from ever going there again. Emily was heartbroken. She felt like she had lost a part of herself. She missed William terribly and felt like she would never be happy again. Days turned into weeks, and Emily became increasingly unhappy. She missed the garden and her friend. She decided to take matters into her own hands. One night, she sneaked out of the house and went back to the garden. William was waiting for her there. He was surprised to see her but happy too. Emily explained everything to him, and William listened patiently. He understood her love for the garden and her desire to explore it. He suggested that they could create a new garden together. A garden that would be their own secret place. Emily loved the idea, and they started to work on the garden. They gathered seeds, plants, and flowers, and started to create a beautiful garden together. They dug holes, planted seeds, and watered the plants. Emily felt happy and content as she worked in the garden with William. She realized that true friends stick together no matter what. Days turned into weeks, and the garden started to bloom. The flowers were beautiful, and the plants were thriving. Emily and William's garden became a secret place where they could escape from the world and be themselves. One day, Emily's parents noticed her absence and went looking for her. They found her in the secret garden, tending to the plants with William. They were surprised to see the garden, but also happy for Emily. They realized that the garden had brought her happiness and had helped her make a true friend. Emily's parents apologized for forbidding her from visiting the secret garden. They realized that the garden was a special place for Emily, and they didn't want to take that away from her. They encouraged her to continue exploring the garden and to keep nurturing her friendship with William. Emily smiled, feeling happy and content. She realized that sometimes, the things that make us happy are the things we have to fight for. And sometimes, the best things in life are the things that are hidden away, waiting to be discovered.